What is your Tinder horror story? Well, I've only gone on one Tinder date. We talked for a bit, and I agreed to pick her up at Starbucks. She looked nothing like her pictures, but I thought I should be nice and at least hang out with her for a bit. We went to her place and the entire house reeked like cat pee. Like saturated. Then as she proceeded to show me her massive collection of animal tail butt plugs, she screamed at her chihuahua and smacked it right on the nose, and without missing a beat just asks if I want to make out on the couch. I awkwardly sat down and pretended to look at my phone and made up that my grandma was dying so I could get pho. One of the many reasons I'm sad my Meemaw passed away. Oh my god, my grandma died. Sorry, I need to go. Easy. Noise. And if she calls me on it later, I can honestly say I didn't say she just died. I see this a lot, that they look nothing like their pictures, but I should be nice and not run off thing. But that's already a pretty big lie right up front. It reminds me of that video that went viral a bit back where someone wore a fat suit on dates they got from dating sites. Anyone that left was in butthole somehow. I would turn and leave right then and there. That's already a big sign they're not on the level. Yeah, I've learned to dip every time that happens. You can't always tell either, because sometimes people just use old pictures rather than deceptive angles. Saying you know what, I actually changed my mind. Bi is the best thing to do. If someone is trying to intentionally deceive you, before you even meet, WTF would you ever date them when the most important thing in a relationship is trust? Everyone should make a promise to never become someone's beach like that emo. So I met this girl on Tinder and went for a lunch date. We had a pretty good connection, so we decided to have dinner as well. After having a few drinks, one thing led to another and ended up back at my place. We hooked up and went to sleep. Middle of the night I wake up. She's intensely staring at me while she's crouched behind the bed. I asked her if everything is alright. She said yes and got back into bed. I thought little creepy, but probably nothing to worry about. She lays down to cuddle with me and she's wet. At the time, I was like, damn, I must just be a stallion. Fast forward to the morning. She's gone and there's a wet puddle beside the bed. She peed on my floor. I still don't understand it. I had a bathroom, but maybe she just got lost and couldn't hold it. I did not hear from her again. Just want to be clear, we were both tipsy and not sloppy drunk. Sleepwalking? This exact thing happened to me once. It was a girl I had been dating for a while. We had a good amount to drink that night. I saw the whole thing happen because she woke me up getting out of bed. She just leaned forward on the bed and let fly. I got her back into bed and cleaned up before going back to sleep myself, and she remembered none of it the next morning. Over the next couple of years I saw her sleepwalk a handful of times. Luckily no other episode required cleaning up bodily fluids. OMG, I had a friend do something like that when she and another friend came to my new place in Seattle and we went out for drinks. I got tired, so I went home, and they got back much later. I got up during the night and both were passed out on the bathroom floor, one around the toilet and the other next to my roommate's cat's litter box. When I woke up, my roommate told me my friend pooped and peed in the kitchen during the night. My friend had literally peed in the recycling box and pinched a loaf right next to it. I cleaned up the pee, but I insisted she clean up the turd lol. She had no knowledge of doing it because she'd drunk sleepwalked. This guy asked me if I would be interested in dating his dad. Pretty sure that guy was a catfish of said dad pretending to be guy. Probably. The message he sent me was so weird. Don't leave us hanging. What was the message? This was a few years ago, so my memory is a little fuzzy. Something along the lines of, hey, my dad looked over my shoulder when I was checking out your profile. He wanted me to tell you that he thinks you're really cute. He's been really lonely lately. Would you be interested in going out with him? He's in his 50s. Here's a pic of him. Talked to him for 2 weeks before we went out, and no red flags, so we ended up going out to dinner. I said I hadn't been out in a while because I was trying to save money for a washer and dryer. He told me instead of saving for that I should save for a boob job. I didn't even know how to reply, so he followed up with, no, it's not a bad thing. My sister and mom both had small tits and got boob jobs and they look amazing. This is all before the waitress even brought our drinks. I just got up and left. Maybe he should just go sleep with his mother and sister then. Maybe he already did. Met up with a Tinder girl at Dave & Buster's. She brought me there for a freaking pyramid scheme sign up presentation. Guess I respect the hustle. Happened to me in college, but this was in the early 90s, so no Tinder obviously. Met this attractive girl on campus. We had coffee, then a lunch. Nothing ever physical, but she seemed into me. One day she calls me, asks me to come by her office. I'm thinking weird, but okay. I go, she meets me, and she brings me in this room, and there's about 10 other guys around my age all sitting around this conference table. We're all looking at each other with these WTF expressions on our face. Then the girl comes back in with her boss and the sales pitch started. I'm just loving the scene of a room full of guys all slowly coming to the realization that they've been honeypotted to a pyramid scheme presentation. This actually wasn't all that uncommon back in the 90s. MLMs were scum then too. We were supposed to meet at 9 PM. He fell asleep and called me at 9:30 when I was already at the carnival. I told him not to bother coming as I didn't want to see him. He asked for another chance and I agreed. Unfortunately my dad got really ill and had to spend the next 6 weeks in the hospital with me visiting him daily. I had no time for dates and he got extremely mad. He made a fake Instagram account which he used to follow me and everybody that I followed. He then saw me in a friend's Instagram story and showed up to the restaurant we were at. He called me a hoe and a liar and we had to threaten to call the police because he would not leave. He had my number and kept calling me using different phones. I knew it was him because he'd just be silent and I could hear him breathing. He did this for over 10 months. I was even living in a different country towards the end. One day I was expecting a call from a friend and had a missed call from a landline, so I called back. It was his mom. I explained to her what was happening and after a long silence she said, please don't call the police. I will talk to him. Never heard from him again. Some people are asking how the convo with his mum went, so I'll just type it here too. I was living in Thailand at the time and I had a friend, Lewis, text me the night before telling me that he missed me and he wanted to catch up, so I told him he could call after I finished work. I was a teacher there. When I came back from school I saw I had a missed call from a landline and I assumed it was Lewis, so I called back. A woman picked up. Hello. Me. Hi. Teeny Gecko here. I have a missed call. It must have been Carlos. He's not home at the moment, but I'll have him call you later. It clicked for me. I only know 2 guys named Carlos. Me. Carlos surname? Yes. Me. I'm sorry but could I talk to you for a second? Then I told her everything I remembered. I was so scared she would not believe me and call me a liar etc. I was shaking and I've never felt so deuce. It was nearly 2 years ago and I forget the exact details, but she kept whispering Dios mio as I was telling her. She asked me to not call the police and I told her I would if I ever heard from him again. I never did. Some people are asking me how I found out about the fake Instagram account, so here it goes. The reason I was at a restaurant was because my sister had flown in from Dublin to visit my dad for a weekend and she made plans to meet her friends for tapas. I drove her to the restaurant and her friends saw me drop her off and asked me to stay. I did. After a while, I saw him and he yelled. The waiter threatened to call the police, and after the madness I sat back down and we all looked at each other like WTF. I wondered how TF he knew I was there, and the only way he could have known was because one of my sister's friend put up a story where we were all saying saluhud with our drinks and she saw that 140+ people saw the story. We ended up finding his profile and realized that he had followed everyone I followed, so that's how we all reported the account and it got taken down by Instagram. That is another level of freaking creepy mayo. This just isn't friendly. This just isn't fair. I will not accept this. I can make her care. How dare she pretend that I'm nothing. I'm me and I deserve better. And soon she will see. First date. She wanted me to get into a bar fight with a perfectly friendly guy who'd bought us a round of shots that night. Why? Because she found out he was a Scorpio. Astrology chicks are crazy. Matched with my BFF's fiance after the engagement party. Screenshots of everything and lost my BFF because I don't play that. I was uninvited to the wedding. Marriage lasted 18 months. Since so many have asked, I did not swipe right. I took a screenshot and asked my friend what she wanted me to do. She asked me to swipe right to see if he was active. I didn't. He messaged me asking to hook up. I told him off. He still wanted to hook up. I gave her all the screenshots. He uninvited me from the wedding because he was certain I would embarrass him. He was correct. I wouldn't sleep with my friend's fiance, nor would I pretend that he wasn't a jerk. That's why the friendship ended. She was from a culture that required marriage before children. She was desperate for a baby and thought he was her last chance. He was running for a public office and wanted the smiling wife and cute baby. Yes, they both used each other. Yes, they had a baby. No, he did not get elected. Fresh off a breakup on campus, match with this really good looking girl who is talking pure filth. Obviously I'm just an idiot with a hurt heart, so I don't question much. Head over to her place a few days later. She insisted I come over on a certain day at X, 20th o'clock. Usually I would have been sketched out, but it was the middle of the day on a B1G10 campus. What exactly could go that south? Half hour in her husband came home. I was being used in revenge plot. No more Tinder. Dang, did not expect this much interest. Apologies for not checking back, haha. Anyway, I pretty much just froze and he started screaming at her in a language I did not speak, and she got out of bed and did the same. It was at an apartment slightly off campus where a lot students lived, so I guess I just assumed she had a roommate that wasn't home. Never assume. I just basically embraced the chaos, grabbed my poop as fast as I could, and hightailed it out of there. I can only assume it was intentional, based on the specific meetup, but maybe it was poor luck. Either way, just talk to the cute girl at the coffee shop. It's much better than apps. My worst Tinder experience was pretty traumatizing for me at the time. I was a sophomore in college, and she was a junior or senior at the same school. The first time we ever hung out, I went over to her apartment and we just watched some Netflix and hung out. Nothing crazy. I was thinking this chick is super cool, we may have something here. So I leave telling her I'd like to see her again if she's down. She told me she would love to, and just hit her up whenever and well make some plans. We start texting / Snapchatting throughout the week and organize some plans for the following weekend. Out of nowhere, she starts sending me unsolicited nudes. Never once asked for them, and when we were hanging out the weekend prior, there was no sexual activity at any level. We quite literally Netflix and chilled. It caught me off guard, but I was more than cool with it. I'm a young college guy and this hot older chick wants to send me nudes after only hanging out one time. Say less. Fast forward to the weekend. She comes to my apartment and we're hanging out with my roommates watching something on TV. She asks me if she can stay the night, and after sending nudes to me all week, I kind of figured what was up. So in my head I'm like, UHH truck yes. But I tell her of course, and to be polite I offer to sleep on the couch, because we've only known each other for all of about 2 weeks, and have only seen each other in person one time prior. She tells me she'd rather me sleep in my bed with her, so I know it's on. We get to Netflix and chilling in my room and I make a move. We start to hook up and eventually wind up having relations. I wore a condom and finished inside of it and tossed it off to my side of the bed. As we're laying there after a few minutes, she gets up abruptly, comes around to my side of the bed and grabs the condom off the floor and runs into the bathroom. I'm a little confused, maybe a little concerned, but kind of brush it off. As I'm laying there in my bed I hear a loud crash in my bathroom. She yells truck. I ask if she's okay and get no response. I'm a little concerned thinking this girl just fell in my bathroom and cracked her head open or something. I go to open the door and she is standing in my shower with one leg propped up trying to shove the condom up her vagina after she flipped it inside out. I freak out, no clue what to do. She's clearly freaked out and probably embarrassed. I have no clue. I shut the door and she immediately comes back out, says she's gonna leave and I say sounds good. I never hear from her again. That would freak me out for months. About 9 or so, yeah. He looked at the baggies of frozen release, the flow from the phallus, the old sausage grease, the dick carlida, the aqua divine, but which, he remarked in the silence, is mine. You just shut the door and continued to let her try and impregnate herself with your sperm. I'm amazed by how many young people these days have an attitude of avoiding conflict at all costs. I say this as someone who is 32, so I'm not exactly old, but many of the young people I've been meeting as a non-traditional student would rather do something like this than deal with the awkwardness. I know some people who are in my age group who are that way as well. I think it's become more prevalent in general with our culture, but with younger people it's out of hand. You're trying to impregnate yourself with my semen? Well, this is awkward. I'll close the door and let you get back to it. Put yourself in his shoes. She's falling around trying to stick a condom up her snooch. Imagine he tries to wrestle it from her, and she has some bruises and his semen all over her. WTF are the cops gonna think if they get involved? This female dog is crazy. That level of crazy has no good option for dealing with it. She was doing the classic retrieve and conceive. Had a similar experience to this. Met a chick at the casino, went back to the hotel. We both were super freaked up, and after intercourse I went to the bathroom and flushed the canny down the toilet. Few hours later I woke up to her going through all trash cans in the room. I knew what's up and just played dumb. Biatches are crazy out there. Found a profile using a picture of me that was obviously ripped from my Facebook account. Come to find out it was my ex-wife trying to stir up drama and problems between my current wife and myself. A single friend of ours texted me a screenshot of it. My wife is an intelligent woman and didn't fall for it. This became a horror story for my ex, because this among other shady things she had done landed her with stalking charges and identity theft charges. Sucks to be stupid. There's multiple accounts on dating sites all over the internet that for some reason use my pics. I got a message on Facebook a few years ago from a girl who was irate that I would pretend to love her so much then talk about how much I hated her dead brother. Her dead brother was actually an acquaintance of mine. Anyway, I was able to track that particular user to be someone I did know in high school, but beyond that IDK. Even to this day I get messages from angry women